some of the best content and the best sound bites and the best snippets, shorts that you'll ever create will come from those very raw, stripped back pieces of content. I think sometimes we go too far the one day and over polish a day in the life with a really, really formal interview and things like this, when actually some of that more stripped back content is some of the most impactful.
So no doubt the next 12 months is going to be a challenging space for the early careers market, particularly because obviously changes in the market, changes of technology, and actually really needing to keep up to date with what the next generation of talent are doing online, so that actually organizations can attract them in the right way. So we're going to talk about a few top ideas in terms of creating content. So kind of what should we start off with? Should we talk about, let's talk about competitors and kind of dispelling that myth about competitors.
Yeah, there's no such term as competitor. And by that, we actually mean your biggest competitors are those creators, pages, that influencers, that young people are engaging with on a daily basis. So best practice isn't actually necessarily to go and look at the equivalent accountancy firm, the equivalent consultancy firm, the equivalent IT firm. It's actually looking at those creators and those pages that young people are actively going out of their way to engage with and spend time watching, liking, commenting, and much more. That could take the guise of, the Sidemen's a great example, catastrophic growth, both as individuals and also as a collective, which is obviously then skyrocketed into this huge business empire they've got. It could be brands, it could be those high street consumer brands that grow. We had an incredible drink that came on the market last year called Prime, and out of nowhere completely took over, didn't it? Social media and everything around the world.
Tastes horrible, but it's just been so popular.
Yeah, and the power of social and power of content creators did that. And you've got your fast fashion brands and high street fashion brands that are really, really big in building their presence, utilizing influencers. You've got, we spoke about it in a previous episode, brands like Ryanair absolutely smashing their engagement of X in a very funny, comedic way to get incredible response and engagement on that platform. So that's where organizations can really look for inspiration. And look, I'm not saying you always are going to necessarily, mimic what all those brands are doing, because that wouldn't necessarily be right, because you're not necessarily trying to flog dresses. However, the methodology behind it and the strategy behind it, there's certainly a lot of takeaways that brands can utilize.
What else? So let's dive into some tactics now. Obviously, there's a whole thing about making sure when it comes to your content strategy, you're hitting the mark in terms of what your audience needs, but also what you're trying to communicate as an organization as well. But let's dive into some tactics that over the next 12 months people can, pick up and try.
Yeah. So I think the big one is utilizing your internal audience. So by that, I mean your internal apprentices, early careers hires for content creation. I'm not saying all of them will necessarily be, influencers overnight. But actually, you'll have a Gen Z audience within your organization, I'm going to assume, if you're going to be looking at hiring strategies for Gen Z. So have a look at them, have a look at what they can do in terms of content creation for you. It's a very low cost solution as well. So I think that's definitely a first port of call.
It's also, I guess, a good point actually when you say that, because but also there's an internal engagement piece there as well, which is literally, we want to tap into your knowledge and also tap into your passion for doing what you do, because as we've seen before, there are plenty of content creators in organizations, and actually to say to them, we need your help and we want to tap into your expertise as well, I think is a highly motivating thing for a lot of people. If they see that their employers recognizing that and wants them to be part of it, then fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think alongside that, actually looking at opportunities for collaboration as well with content. It could be webinar opportunities. If we're looking at low cost as well, it could be webinar opportunities online like this, opportunities to create quick form content. Because some organizations haven't got the budget and needs, but it doesn't mean you can't potentially have the opportunity to create some content. And that could be collaborations with organisations, or that could be, again, internal facing stuff and using your staff internally. But that's always an opportunity for any organisation.
A good point, actually, because what we are doing now at the moment is going, yes, obviously there's a content production function in NGTU Create, but actually it's about going, let's find other ways which we can create content to sense check interest in those topics. And then when it comes to then running an event and filming that event, or doing a live stream, or even, doing an in-studio, in-person, series, then actually we've got this kind of lo-fi content to lean on and to learn from as well. It's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the other big things is look at opportunities for for over the next 12 months, look at opportunities for content days. So, almost having dedicated days where your marketing team, your recruitment team, employer branding team, however your organization's set up, having days set aside where almost, the plan is you get a team together and you go around and create content. You could go and get a iPhone, get your iPhone, get an iPhone tiny mic and go around to Vox Pop with people in your office building if you're in an office building. If you're on a construction site, you could do it on a construction site, and go around and ask key questions, what is one perk about working here? Boom, tiny mic, let's ask this person, let's ask that person. Those kind of opportunities, again, I'm trying to put together ideas here where actually, it's not all about cost always either. There are actually lower cost, quicker things you could do. And look, as you do that as well, that's how you build business cases to go and get budget. Because then after a while, you show growth, you show a strategy, you show consistency, and those bigger C-suite execs go, oh, this is working, isn't it? Oh, actually, we'll put some budget behind this for the recruitment marketing team to grow this offering and build on our employer brand. And that's the only way you're going to do it, is sometimes, yeah, rightly so, starting small and building up.
And then actually to add on to that, I think it's a natural thing to say, which is making sure you're turning content into different formats. So something like this into quotes or into transcribed text, or and also by getting people to do by doing those vox pops is great, because then you are in a way you're doing your research as well, because then you identify the people would be super great to get put into a have a small crew, spend time with, and film for that kind of higher end production content as well. One more thing that someone can do, when they're planning out the next 12 months and what they should be achieving when it comes to creating their content.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things is letting people in to tell stories. Tell stories within your organisation. It's obviously the key for selling roles, for selling a lifestyle, for selling the culture, etc. within an organisation, and letting people in and not thinking it needs to be over polished either. Actually, some of the best content and the best sound bites and the best snippet shorts that you'll ever create will come from those very raw, stripped back pieces of content. I think sometimes we go too far the one day and over polish a day in the life with a really, really formal interview and things like this, when actually some of that more stripped back content is some of the most impactful, and actually really helps to showcase the opportunity on offer for a potential hire long term. So I think that's one of the big things, is let those people in, but actually don't try and over engineer it, don't try and over polish it. Actually, really go with that fly on the wall mentality, and try and show the real life aspect. I mean, that's one of the big things on TikTok. Why have TikTok Day in the Lives and things like this gone so viral? Is, yeah, admittedly you're picking what clips go in, but generally speaking, they're pretty warts and all, a lot of them, and people have built huge followings as a byproduct of that. So there is a science behind it.
Really, and people it's that intrigue, isn't there? Intrigue and thirst for knowledge about what on earth is the world of work like, and what are certain organisations like, but also what are certain industries like. And I like what you say. Kind of, if you simplify it by making sure that actually, you don't always have to have a massive crew coming along and doing, talking heads in a really nice looking studio, with some B-roll wrapped in there. There is a place for that, you could argue, but that thing about having a small crew just there, spending time with the right people, and just asking questions in not to get sales bites, sound bites, and sales messages out of them, but just to be curious about what they do and what they know. And that's like extremely powerful. And that takes us back to what we talked about before in terms of serializing. And to get that volume of content by clipping short form, you get that by doing that, as opposed to trying to clip up sales messages, because you can't clip up too many sales messages. Yeah, lovely. Good man. Right, always good to chat. Cheers, mate.